Digital payments giant PhonePe is making its big e-commerce foray with Pincode. It's a hyperlocal shopping app that will go live on ONDC, the open network for digital commerce. Bengaluru will be the first city to go live with grocery and food, with more cities and categories to follow. With 450 million users, PhonePe claims to have 1 out of 4 Indians on its platform. 35 million merchants accept payments via PhonePe. Most of them do their business in Tier 2 cities and beyond. This large network could usher growth for ONDC, which has started to bring the next UPI moment for India. India's e-retail market is expected to triple from 50 billion in 2022 to 150 billion by 2027 as per a Bain report, with the shopper base likely to reach 400 to 450 million by 2027. The growth will be led by new online shoppers, primarily from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. PhonePe, which dominates UPI with a 50% market share, knows what a platform like ONDC could do for it. PhonePe is also in the middle of a $1 billion fundraise that valued the company at a whopping $12 billion, far ahead of its payment peers, including Paytm. In a bid to grow beyond payment, the payments firm wants to use this war chest to grow its insurance, wealth management and lending verticals while it builds products on the India stack. Essential steps to hit 10,000 crore rupees in revenue and operational profitability, which the company plans to achieve by 2025. Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan, and joining me now to talk about Pincode and the road ahead for PhonePe is the company's founder and CEO, Sameer Nigam. Sameer, many thanks for joining us here on Young Turks. You know, there's a whole host of issues that I want to talk to you about. Lots of regulatory changes, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the aspiration as far as ONDC and your decision to launch Pincode. Why and how quickly do you intend to scale this?
NCR and Bangalore. We're launching first across Bangalore, across 150 pin codes here. And then after the top 3 metros, goal is to be in about 10 to 15 cities by year end. We would call that a win because, again, you have to digitize all the shops in these big cities. You have to somehow connect them with logistics networks that, honestly, we don't even know the names of. Many of them are just springing up. Hyperlocal delivery networks, national delivery networks. And you have to connect them using this sort of ONDC glue, which has not been tested at scale. So there's, it's an engineer's sort of dream to actually build networks like this, but on an operating side, there's so much to actually go through. So we're going to go slow and steady on this one.
Sameer, you also talk about making big investments to try and push the aspiration as far as ONDC is concerned. What could that mean? Quantify that for us.
I think you've split the problem into 2 parts. One is we need to spend a lot of time and effort, the non-capital part, just cultivating the entire seller platform ecosystem and the logistics ecosystem. Just for Bangalore, for example, to go live in food, grocery, and pharma, we're working with 10 different seller platforms. It's about 20,000 stores already live. So each one of them has to get digitized. A lot of investment on the technology side by us, as well as to facilitate what our seller platforms are doing. I think then obviously there's going to be, if we find product market match, then there's going to be a considerable amount of marketing that will happen. We've been on IPL for 4 years. We'll be there soon again, next couple of days. Rest assured, if we see even an iota of sort of product market match early on, we will amplify this fast. Because I think there's been a lot of attempts at quick commerce, hyper-local commerce, but at the guts of it, I feel like the small shopkeepers not being put at the center of the attempts. And I think if the local economy really does start biting, then I think there's a lot of investment. And I'll just say, I think UPI level investment because the market opportunity is that large. I won't quantify it.
UPI level investment. Okay, you won't want to put a number to it just yet. But, what is it going to mean in the near term as far as the expenses are concerned? The expenses have come in at about 3,706 crores. You've, of course, seen big spending on the IPL, the Cricket World Cup, etc. And what will this mean as far as burn is concerned as well? You're burning about 2.5 odd rupees at this point in time to earn a rupee of operating revenue. In terms of burn as well as expenses, what is all of this going to mean?
So I think numbers mask a couple of things. If you look at where the burn went or the accounting burn went, More than half of that actually was on the ESOPs that get sort of the liability that we have to account for. The second and largest single ticket item on spend for us last year was actually on the CapEx side, outside of marketing. We are now at a scale where we're processing over 150 million transactions a day. And it is important for us now to keep investing in infra. So we have 5 data centers that we actually spent on last year, about 20,000 servers added. So I think that investment on the CapEx side, below EBITDA, will continue. Our core business actually grew in triple digits for the 4th year straight, and I believe that we're still tracking for the same this year. So I'm not worried about the core payments business and ads business being profitable. We're getting there on schedule. In fact, 2023 sometime, I think we'll be there. But at a consolidated level, if I think of ONDC, we're not building a supply chain. We're not building a logistics fleet. We are actually just focused on building a great app experience that connects the sellers through the seller platforms. So at least on paper, it should be margin positive on each transaction from day 0. And in part, I actually think that this is why ONDC is so terribly exciting. By separating the roles of the seller platforms, the buyer platforms, keeping the pricing discounting out, you actually allow for margin positive commerce growth to happen. So I don't think ONDC will be a drag on our margins in any way.
Okay, you expect it to be margin positive on day 0 is what you said, Samir, but and you caveated that well, at least on paper. Sorry?
At the contribution margin, it should definitely be positive. I think the brand development will be an investment, but again, I mean, that's a long-term investment. That's why I said it's very much like UPI for us.
Let's talk about the changes that have come in over the last few days as far as UPI is concerned. What will the revenue impact be on account of the changes that have come in, especially as far as wallet loading fees are concerned, where PhonePe, like others, will have to pay a bank about 0.15% of the amount if it's over 2,000 rupees to load the wallet? What will the impact of the changes that have been announced by the NPCI mean for a company like yours?
I think it's positive across the board. It's a long time coming. So while there's a 0.15% wallet loading cost, we have a wallet business. There's a 1.1% guaranteed interchange that comes to us as a wallet issuer. So you're making money and you're making it through the UPI rails. Till now, historically, for the last decade, wallet companies have tied up with merchants directly and charged an MDR anywhere from 1.5% to 2.5%, I believe. We don't have as large a wallet business or play as some of our competitors, but we have launched full KYC wallets. We do want to foray further into it. And I think it's a positive sign that certain instruments, whether it's RuPay credit cards on UPI or wallets through UPI, the rails are aligned for monetization. And I think that's been a long time coming. I think it's a good sign for the industry overall.
You talked about the interchange, and you're right that it's been capped at 1.1%. What is the current interchange for you?
Right now, the wallet play doesn't involve an interchange because the issuer ties up with a shopkeeper and they pay them directly. So if you go today to a shop where you see a PhonePe or an Amazon Pay or a Paytm wallet accepted, that's a bilateral agreement. It doesn't flow through UPI. And there the interchange would, as I said, vary between 1 to 1.5%, 2% I've heard of at times. You've typically not gone past 1.5. And now the interchange is what we would get paid by the bank or whichever, how should I put this? If we have acquired a merchant and somebody else's wallet gets used, then we'll pay the 1.1%. But if we've got the wallet customer and they make a payment at the merchant, then we'll get paid 1.1%. And the acquirer will charge the merchant north of 1.1%. Again, my gut says this will get normalized or standardized pretty soon across the industry. You'll land at about somewhere between 1.4 to 1.6%.
Right. And this is something that is contentious, and we don't know whether the government will go down that road or not. But there is an IIT Bombay report that's been put out suggesting that there be a flat facilitation fee of 0.3% to fund the infrastructure linked to UPI. Do you believe that that is now going to have to be a reality that we need to contend with? As I said, no decision has been taken so far. We don't know whether the government will go down that road. But is that something that you believe we should be prepared for?
So I think it's inevitable, but my reasons for saying that are slightly different. I think there's a considerable amount of investment that's happening outside of the banking system. This is the fintech system, as we call it, both on the consumer side and the acquiring side. And for the last 20, 30 odd years, whether it's Visa, MasterCard, RuPay, whether it's net banking, somebody subsidizes that cost and incentivizes the players in the industry to make money. And it's traditionally been the merchant. So until zero MDR on UPI came along, the merchants were paying. The merchants continue to pay for Visa, MasterCard, they pay for all the wallet companies. Every other sector is also showing growth. So I'm still not convinced that merchants wouldn't pay a reasonable amount of interchange or MDR. So I'm hopeful it'll happen. I'm always hopeful. I think the government will perhaps relax MDR in waves. They haven't indicated anything, so this is just me conjecturing. But I think they'll relax in waves just to see, as they say, I mean, it's sort of a digitization tax, if you may, but broader shoulders bear the most tax. So maybe they'll start with the big merchants.
Well, I know you're hopeful, but Samir, hope is not a strategy. So let me also ask you about the other sword that's hanging on your head. And as of today, it's expected to come in from December 2024. It's been pushed to December 2024, the NPCI guidelines on capping market cap, which will impact companies like yours. And I know that you've said uncertainty doesn't really help plan, but you will now need to plan for December 2024. So what are you doing about that?
Well, again, my answer is no different than it was in December 2022. Short of denying consumers access to PhonePe's UPI services, which is the only direct way to reduce my market share, I can hope that more entrants jump on the bandwagon. I can hope that the existing players invest more to grow their own consumer base. I can stop advertising. It's been 2 years and counting. Beyond that, someone has to give me a playbook. So it's still the same response. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's not normal for an entrepreneur to sit there and think about how to actually reduce their growth. So you'll have to cut me some slack on this one. I don't have answers.
No, I feel your pain, by the way. I mean, it is an unfair ask of me to ask you how you plan to degrow your business, but that is what you're going to have to deal with unless there is some sort of miraculous change as far as this timeline is concerned, or a complete change of heart on the part of NPCI. But if that were not to be the case, what does that then do to all the targets that you've just spoken of, both in terms of growth and profitability?
I'm not worried about the profitability part because a lot of it is being fueled even by the current base. I think it takes us there. Pincode is a separate app. We're going to be foraying into the entire sort of wealth and stockbroking side of things. We have a license. We'll be entering there. That's going to be a new app. Lending scaling up really well for us on the merchant side to begin with. We'll enter consumer lending at some point. Insurance, I believe we're the fastest growing insurtech in the country right now on distribution. So I think we have a lot going for us. I'm not so worried on the profitability side alone. I am worried about the growth of the UPI market itself. If the top two players, as things stand, are told you can't add more users, that's the guideline. Because honestly, only about a fourth of India is using UPI. It's about 350 million people. And what's actually more unnatural than asking people to slow their growth is to try and shape the market when there's only about 25% market adoption. It's like trying to shape the final sort of players in the telecom industry before 4G even launched. So we'll see.
Time for us to head to another break, but don't go anywhere. We're right back with PhonePe's Samir Nigam to talk about the road to profitability, IPO, and more.